In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your rear caliper on your Honda CR-V. It's located behind your rear wheel. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to remove our lug nuts. Make sure you have a hand on it. Take off that last one. All right, anytime you're doing any sort of hydraulics work on your vehicle, you're going to want to press the brake pedal down and hold it with like a pry bar or a pole of some sort. That'll ensure that you don't lose a ton of fluid and just makes your life a little easier. It's less messy. Using an 11mm socket, I'm going to disconnect my brake hose by loosening and taking out the bolt. We have our brake pedal pressed, so we shouldn't be losing too much fluid. Make sure you have a drip pan below you. And remove the hose. Make sure you remove the washers as well. You don't want to double up on those, and you want to use new ones. To get those off, if they're stuck, you're just going to jam a pick in there or a flathead screwdriver and just pick them off. After you're done doing that, you can set your brake hose off to the side. And now we're going to disconnect our caliper. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to take out our caliper bracket bolts. There's 2 of them. All right, using a 14mm socket, we're going to loosen up our bolts for the caliper that's holding the pads. We're not going to take them out completely because we don't need to. Make sure you have a good hand on this so it doesn't fall. Now you can remove your caliper. I'm going to take it over to the bench. So now that we're at the bench, we're going to take out these bolts. And I'm going to flip this over. You can now take this apart. And take out our pads. This one has like a claw that's going inside the piston area, so you're going to need to pry it apart like this. You may also have to press that piston back to get this out, depending on how far out your piston is. All right, so as you press this in, there is going to be some fluid that comes out, so make sure you have something to catch it all. Once that's compressed in, you can take the tool out, and then you should be able to pull this out like that. So we're going to take out our bolts and we're going to check out this new caliper. Use a 12mm socket. And take out our bolts. And remove this part. We're going to look at our slides. You may need a small pick or a screwdriver. Take these boots down. Don't rip them, obviously. So be careful. It's always good to make sure to take these apart. You should always make sure there's enough grease, silicone paste inside the new caliper. Don't just assume it's okay. So we're gonna add some more because there wasn't nearly enough. Make sure you let out the air, if there is any. You can usually tell because it blows up like a balloon. You slide a pick underneath and squeeze that down. Push out all that air. And then you want it to act like a vacuum to suck it back in. That's how you know the air's gone. Do the same on this side. Make sure that boot inside the ribs gets enough. All right, now you gotta press it in, make sure there's no air. Another place we're gonna put some of this is where the tins go. Yeah, we could put our tins in. So this part goes here, and you push it in, and the same on the other side. Now we're going to put this piece in, and it goes right here. Make sure that these go on the outside. So you feed it in, and then you snap it in on the bottom. You might need a tool to do that. I'm going to put a more silicone paste right on those points right there, just to help slide it in. So we're going to put our caliper bracket on the car first. You can just hand tighten it for now. All right, so for this pad, you got to put it inside the hole for the piston. Make sure you don't get the boot of the piston. You want to go inside it. You're going to press it in like that. Make sure your pad's going this way. And now we're going to put our other pad in this way. It rests right along that. It's kind of loose, which is why it's easier to do this over by the car, because now you can just put it in there. So you're going to hold that pad in place. And it sits like that. We can start these bolts as well. We're going to tighten up our bracket bolts first. I'm going to torque those to 41 foot-pounds. And then we're going to tighten up our other bolts and torque those to 16 foot-pounds. All right, so I'm going to take my bolt out with my 2 new washers. I'm going to put my washer on the inside and a washer on the outside. Make sure that your brake hose is lined up with its stopper on it. Using an 11mm socket bolt, we're going to torque our brake hose to 25 foot-pounds. All right, so now we can take our pry bar out and release our brake pedal and do a gravity bleed for that caliper. All right, so to gravity bleed this caliper, we're going to take off our rubber cover first, and then we're going to loosen up our bleeder. And you're just going to open it up and wait for the fluid to come out. So now we're waiting for it to have a steady-ish stream. And we're looking for air bubbles coming out, which I'm seeing. And once you're sure you don't see any more air bubbles and it's a steady stream, you can close that bleeder down. So when you do a gravity bleed and you release your brake pedal, you might need to pump the brake a little bit when the whole system is closed down, meaning all your bleeders are shut. If you feel like there's no pedal, just keep pumping it. And then once you get a pedal, then you can go to your bleeder that you're gravity bleeding and open it up. All right, so now we're going to clean it. Make sure it's free of brake fluid. And you can put your cap back on. And then you can put your rubber cap back on. We're going to reinstall our wheel. Get our lug nut started by hand. And now we're going to snug them up in a star-like pattern. I'm going to turn this down. All right, we're going to torque our wheel to 80 foot-pounds. We're going to do that in a star-like pattern. And I like to go around one more time. All right, so you're gonna clean and inspect your cap on your master cylinder first. You're gonna check to see what kind of fluid it takes. This says .3 or 4 brake fluid. If yours does not say anything, you're gonna use what's recommended by the manufacturer. Now we're gonna see if there's a filter in here, which there is. You're gonna take it out. You can put that right in your pan. Now we're going to siphon out our old brake fluid using a tool like this or something similar. Make sure your pan is nearby. You should clean and inspect your strainer and put it back. Now we're going to pour in clean brake fluid. So you're just going to fill your master cylinder till it's to the max with your clean brake fluid. The max line is on this part of the cap. Now we can put our cap back on. And now we're ready to bleed our brakes. The brake bleed procedure is left front, right rear, left rear. All right, so we're going to take our rubber cap off our caliper bleeder. I have somebody inside the vehicle that's ready to pump the brakes for me. Can you pump it up, please? All right. Crack open the bleeder with a 10 millimeter. Get to the floor, pump it up again, please. Holding. Pump it up again, please. All right. Take this off. Clean it off a little. Let that dry. And then put the cap back on. Now we're going to go to the right front. All right, now that we've bled the front two brakes, we're going to check our master cylinder and top it off before we do the rears. All right, now we can put our cap back on and continue our bleed procedure. All right, now that you've checked your fluid level, we're going to the right rear. Pump it up. To the floor. Pump it up, please. He's holding. To the floor. Pump it up one more time, please. He's holding. Looking good. Tighten that down. Clean it off. And I'm going to have to replace that rubber cap because there isn't one. And now we're going to our left rear. All right, now that we're done bleeding the brakes, we're going to top off our fluids again. Remove the cap. And we're going to fill this up to max. Put your cap back on. And then we're gonna clean it off with some brake clean. Now we can get in our vehicle. We're gonna check our brake pedal, make sure it's nice and high and hard. If it doesn't feel good and it feels like squishy, you're gonna have to bleed the brakes one more time because that means there's probably a problem or there's air in the system. If your brakes feel great, you're good to go. You can go for a road test.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.